Sometimes it's nice to be able to enjoy life's smaller pleasures. A fragrant cup of coffee, a beautiful sunset maybe, and being able to immaturely snicker when driving past a Kum and Go gas station. Well, not anymore, because they're getting rid of the Kum and Go brand. FJ Management, the parent company of Kum and Go, has announced that it will rebrand stores in Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, and Idaho by 2024, this year, and all Kum and Go locations across the United States by 2025. And what are they rebranding it to? Maverick, which is an existing convenience store which is also owned by the parent company. I think that's strange, though. For me, the name Kum and Go conjures up somewhere where you get in and out real quick. If before learning about the story I had heard the name Maverick, I don't think I'd be able to guess what type of store it was. But why are they doing this? I mean, it's exactly why you think. It's because of the double entendre. From thedrive.com. What? I think that there was some concern about the inadvertent double entendre of the Kum and Go name. A source with knowledge of Maverick's management told CSP Daily News, if you're growing cross-regionally, which brand do you think will have more appeal to a new audience? Maverick or Kum and Go? No disrespect to Kum and Go, but the answer is pretty clear, another told the outlet. Unquote. Even if this is a problem, though, Kum and Go has over 400 locations, so it must be doing pretty well. I mean, it wouldn't even be a problem if they didn't spell cum, K-U-M. Well, you know what? The fact that the company is rebranding it just makes the name Kum and Go funnier. I mean, it's not like anyone actually lets the double entendre affect their actions, right? Yeah. Well, let's move on to our next article. Iowa man arrested for indecent exposure after pleasuring himself at a Kum and Go gas station. Okay. I don't know what the plan was here. I mean, he managed to flee the scene before being caught. He came and he went. But police officers managed to identify himself from security cameras and went straight to his house. In his defense, he claims that he was just scratching his genitals. I don't know how innocently scratching your genitals can be mistaken for that other thing. But we'll let the courts decide. Moving on. Do you know what else is fun? The Kum and Go, referring back to the Kum and Go story, not the other story. Never mind. What is fun? Those funny electric highway signs that have little safety message one-liners. I'll give you a few examples. We'll be blunt. Don't drive high. O-H-I, whoa. Watch your speed. Yeah, that one was from South Carolina. No, as from Ohio, I think. On Star Wars Day, May the 4th, slow down you must. May the 4th be with you. On a holiday, visiting in-laws, slow down. Get there late. Okay, that one's pretty good. And this one was in Boston. Use ya blinka. Well, it's all going away because they're getting rid of those funny one-liners, probably. The U.S. Federal Highway Administration issued new rules on what could be displayed on those electric signs. In a recent comment from the agency, they said that the new rules are not banning all humor, just obscure pop culture references and humor that can take drivers a, quote, greater time to process. Use ya blinka, what could it mean? Perhaps surprisingly, an FHWA study has found that 54% of drivers reported changing their behavior in the past after seeing an electric highway sign. So the signs are at least a little bit effective, and using humor could help people to remember the messages better. On the other hand, the Department of Transportation of New Jersey once chided drivers on social media for taking pictures of funny signs, presumably while driving, and posting them online, completely negating the point. Well, anyways, moving on. It was Groundhog's Day recently, a few days ago, and our favorite groundhog, Puxatawny Phil, predicted an early spring, which means that he didn't see his shadow, I think. I was getting confused. I mean, it already feels like spring where I live. It's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit outside. But anyways, that's good news. Moving on to our next story. That one was a short story. The city of Chicago has an impressive number of famous landmarks, from the Willis Tower to the Bean, and now a new viral landmark, the Rat Hole, the hole in a Chicago sidewalk that is shaped like a rat. It appears that soon after the concrete of sidewalk was poured, a rat must have somehow gotten stuck in the wet cement and left behind the hole. It's not a recent hole, mind you, according to local residents. The hole has existed for decades. A local softball team has even used the rat hole as its unofficial mascot for the past 6 years and has had the rat hole on its jerseys. The hole has only recently gone viral, however, due to a tweet from the Chicago comedian Winslow Dumaine. Now, many people are taking pilgrimage to the rat hole, leaving behind offerings of coins, flowers, cheese, and pills? I don't know. There is a controversy, however. There is doubt over whether this hole was actually made by a rat. Some people, including experts and local residents, believe that the hole was created not by a rat, but by a squirrel. And there is another controversy. Like I said before, many people are now taking their pilgrimage to the rat hole, leaving behind offerings. There have been loud, rowdy gatherings with loud music around the rat hole. A shrine has been set up to the rat hole. There have been engagements. There has been a marriage by the rat hole. And not just a marriage, but a gay marriage. And mind you, this is not, I just wanted to mention that. And mind you, this is not like in downtown Chicago. The rat hole is in a quiet residential neighborhood where people, live. Obviously, this has put some strain on the local residents. Local residents have complained about trash, vandalism, loud noise, and stolen packages. Signs have been put up by the residents asking visitors to be respectful of the rat's neighbors and have, basic human decency. These efforts have clearly not been enough, however. Recently, visitors to the rat hole discovered that someone had filled the hole with concrete, to which onlookers quickly dug the hole back out with ice scrapers and license plates. But it was probably done by some disgruntled resident, don't you think? The rat hole is still not safe, however. The residents have gotten in contact with the Chicago Transportation Department about potentially removing the section of the sidewalk with the rat hole. If the city of Chicago is smart, they won't destroy the rat hole if they do decide to remove the section of the sidewalk with the rat hole. But instead, they won't destroy the rat hole. Instead, they should build a monument with the slab of concrete with the rat hole right in the middle. It could go right next to the bean. I think that's a great idea. Moving on. Last year, Guinness World Records issued a new record for the world's oldest dog after a Portuguese dog named Bobby died at 31 years old. Bobby was a purebred Rafeiro de Alentejo, a breed that typically lives 10 to 14 years, meaning that Bobby lived at least twice as long as the average dog of his breed. The owner, Lionel Costa, attributes Bobby's long life to his diet of human food, his ability to roam around outside at his leisure, and, of course, love. Bobby's story is crazy as well. After Bobby and his siblings were born in 1992 and Costa was only 8 years old, Costa's father didn't want to take care of more animals. So he buried Bobby's siblings alive in order to kill them? I guess that wasn't unusual in Portugal at the time. The father would have killed Bobby as well, but Bobby hid while Costa Fathers was collecting the puppies to bury alive. Goodness. Here's where the controversy starts. Several veterinarians have corresponded with Guinness World Records, insisting that Bobby's record is impossible, and Guinness Records has listened to their advice and has suspended the record, oldest dog ever, while they review the case of Bobby. Keep in mind that there was a dog that was recorded in the Portuguese government's pet database named Bobby by the Costa family in 1992. But there was also a dog named Bobby that died in 2023. If Bobby didn't actually live to be 31, that means at some point, Bobby was replaced and a new dog took Bobby's place. Goodness. Costa, Bobby's former owner, has denied these claims and pointed out that he's not benefited financially from Bobby's record and that Guinness World Records has spent a year checking the record claim. But we'll see how the story develops. What else do we have? Oh, it was Groundhog's Day recently, a few days ago, and our favorite groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil, predicted an early spring, which means that he didn't see his shadow. I always get confused. I mean, it already feels like spring where I live. It's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit outside, but anyways, that's good news nonetheless. Let's move on to our next story. It was a short story. That one was. A mysterious sound has appeared in Tampa, Florida. Let's listen. This mysterious sound has plagued Tampa for at least a few years. But now, experts have weighed in, and ichthyologists, fish scientists, have proposed the idea that the sound is caused by fish mating in the nearby ocean. And there is some evidence to support this idea. It is currently the mating season of the black drumfish, the fish in question. The sounds made by the black drumfish are also low frequencies, so they can travel a long way. And Tampa, including a long way inland, right? So a lot of residents could potentially hear it from the ocean. And Tampa residents have identified recordings of drumfish sounds as sounding exactly like the mystery sound. Residents have worked with a scientist and started raising money for an underwater microphone that will be used to see for certain if the mystery sound is just a massive fish orgy. I'll be eagerly waiting the results. Imagine if it actually turns out to be just like a loud nightclub somewhere in Tampa, but everybody thought that their music was fish mating. You know what it probably is? Aliens. All right, let's move on. An Oklahoma state representative named J.J. Humphrey has filed a bill which is pretty shocking. It reads as follows, quote, students who purport to be an imaginary animal or animal species or who engage in anthropomorphic behavior, commonly referred to as furries, at school shall not be allowed to participate in school curriculum or activities. The parent or guardian of the student in violation of this section shall pick up the student from the school, or animal control services shall be contacted to remove the student. Wow. One small critique, just one. The word anthropomorphic refers to non-human animals or objects that have human characteristics. So anthropomorphic behavior would just be acting like a human, wouldn't it? Humphrey released a video explaining why he filed this bill, and the video is insane.
We're having conversations of that schools are putting litter boxes. Now I want to know, are they really actually using the litter box? That's the question I want to know.
Humphrey confidently repeats the litter boxes in schools hoax, claiming that there are schools that have litter boxes in them for students that identify as cats, a claim which is not true. To my knowledge, there have been 0 school districts which have provided litter boxes for cat children. The thing is, furries don't actually identify as animals, right? They just like it. They're just people that like cartoon animals. I don't know how you could even still believe this hoax. It was popular in 2022. At one point in the video, he even admits that this is not a widespread problem. He says that there have only been, quote, 1 or 2 cases across the state.
I want to say just kudos to all the great superintendents and all the great teachers that we have in the state of Oklahoma. And I don't want 1 or 2 cases across the state to reflect on all of our teachers and all of our great superintendents.
One thing I don't hear mentioned a lot is that this is clearly anti-trans rhetoric, right? If we don't stop the children going into the wrong bathroom, we might soon be required to provide litter boxes for people who identify as cats. And I know this because this is literally something that was said in a 2016 article written by a conservative commentator. Oh, have no doubts, J.J. Humphrey is openly transphobic. I don't like that very much. He also proposed a bill that would legalize cockfighting. What? It's too much. We need to move on. In Australia, recent floods have led to a truly cursed video posted online showing several groups of fire ants which have banded together and formed rafts to float on top of the floodwaters, which is a thing that fire ants can do, I guess. They are an invasive species, native only to South America. Anywhere else in the world, they are invasive. And they can be incredibly destructive to the environment, causing agricultural loss. They can even kill a human with a single bite. I guess you can have an allergic reaction to fire ants. Fire ants arrived in Queensland in Australia in 2001, probably via shipping containers from the United States, and have largely been contained within that state until recently. Last November, there were reports of fire ants in New South Wales, and there are fears that the fire ant population is growing in Australia, which is a problem because they prey on native plants and animals while having no natural predators. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with all of you. This story is a bit of a bummer. But on the bright side, I don't live in Australia. Okay. What else do we have? It was Groundhog's Day recently, a few days ago, and our favorite groundhog, Puxatawny Phil, predicted an early spring, which means that he didn't see his shadow. I always get confused. I mean, it already feels like it's spring where I live. It's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit outside, but good news nonetheless. Let's move on to our final story of the week. Speaking of Australia, an Australian woman in Tasmania has won the world's ugliest lawn contest. So let's see her lawn. Yeah, that's pretty bad. There are two main factors concerning this woman's lawn. One is that bandicoots and other small animals just tear her lawn apart. I guess bandicoots dig in the ground to find food. The woman also lives in an area where water is hard to find and relies on rainwater collected in tanks. So she doesn't have any water to spare for her lawn. The competition was started in Sweden in a town called Gotland, which has had pretty serious water shortages in the past. And the contest was created as a way to promote water conservation. I hate how so many suburban homeowners are expected to maintain and water a massive lawn. I looked online, and the average American will spend 384 hours of their life mowing their lawn, or 16 days of their life. But not this woman. She's got it figured out. Well, anyways, that's all the news I have for this week. So long, whatever. Goodbye.